Well, navigating leadership challenges in EEO in a changed world, for us it was two-pronged. It was economic, and technologically we move decades in the matter of years. And so from the standpoint of government, this shifts the paradigm of government. It was here to create in a human system the integration of a society so it will mirror the economy we're serving. At the event, we had 200 attendees, and that was the maximum that the auditorium would hold. But we had 31 leaders of our state's economy. We had, what I found in the attendee base out of the 200 that really excited both Dean and I, is there were 51 unique departments participating in the day's event.
And one of the comments also was that the participants were amazed, as you said earlier, that we had 10 of the 13 agency secretaries represented, that the secretaries themselves came, so people had never seen that before. Even our constitutional officer said, gee, I don't know that I could have drawn that number.
We asked each of our speakers to give an insight or a philosophy that would guide their professional career.
There are three principles that I credit to helping me guide my career pathway. One, know yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't let your gender, your ethnicity, or anyone else define you. You need to learn to define yourself, to just be the very best you can be.
So I went to a classic liberal arts college, and it was there that I ran into a very intriguing quote by Aristotle, which was basically that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So the reason I was drawn to it is because it is arithmetically incorrect to say such a thing. It's the equivalent of saying that 1 + 1 = 3. What it actually was a value statement. The more you work together is the way that I read into it, and the more you accept that there is a holistic way of living your life, and that there are more things to do, and that individuals can do great things and good things, but that teams, collective groups of people and communities can actually do amazing things and brilliant things and do things in terms of great change.
What I do or why I do what I do, it really kind of dates back to my parents. My dad held 3 jobs as a laborer, and I was always impressed with the fact that while there were a number of challenges we were faced with as a family, he was always able to navigate around those, I think collectively working with my mom and coming to a solution that really made it so that the kids didn't get impacted by the situation. They always kind of made it better. And I was the first to go to university, and early on, that commitment, I think, that my parents made, that hard work commitment, made me think about that, really challenges are a very interesting concept, and that either you're part of a problem or you're part of a solution.
Childhood experiences really shape the kind of person that you are. And if you can tap those childhood experiences and understand how they impacted your life, you actually can turn the difficult ones into some real motivating, I think, opportunities. As I grew up believing that, first, that everybody is good, that they have goodness in them. Second, that everybody has a talent. That third, that if they get a good education, they can overcome all obstacles, but that's an opportunity that this country offers that was not possible where my grandparents came from. And fourthly, that it's really imperative that we all have the same opportunities to be successful. You gotta work hard, you've gotta grab every opportunity to go out and learn something. But one of the things that I learned is when you see something that you think is not right, that unless you're willing to do something about it, that no one else is going to, in other words, if you can't If you are not willing to get involved in changing something, then you're not going to have anybody else do it. You've got to be able to lead the way and bring people along with you.
In my situation, my parents greatly influenced everything I've done in my entire life, to include leadership. I could say my philosophy is lead or follow or get out of the way. I started training for leadership when I was a small boy, because in my family, growing up, we had the responsibility to try to do things the best and try to do things that made a difference. So when I made a decision to go into the military, I had no idea that I would stay in the military. And so after being in the military a few years, I looked around and saw what leaders were doing. I said the same thing. I can do that. I can do that. It's a situation where all of you, and I did also, you also always need to be prepared in case the opportunity comes for you to do something great.
I think what you can offer is caring. You know, Martin called it empathy. I think what's most important, and in order to get people to work together and to follow you, they got to know that you care. You got to care first and foremost about your people, about your team. You know, be human to them, as Martin said. Understand, you know, the environment that they're in, and offer your help or assistance in whatever way you can. Secondly, make sure that your team knows that you care about doing the right thing. That you care, that you're there to do a job because you want to do what's best and what's right.
You have to be nimble. That's how I'll say that. I think one of the things that I've always tried to do is to respect the individuals that I work with, and to get to know them, and appreciate the fact that, one, life is hard, as many of the folks here have just said, and so, you know, we all have difficult issues that we're trying to deal with. Trying to keep that in mind as you're working with the people that are around you. And also get to know them and appreciate the fact that we are all different, and that's actually a good thing. We bring in different skill sets and different values to the job. And so I think that a large part of my job is trying to maximize those abilities and different skills that I see within the office. Set a tone in the office, try and make sure that people can feel that they can come to you and communicate with you, and that you will hear what they're saying. Communication, as you heard here, is very, very important. And let them know that they can tell you things and you will not immediately react. You will think it through, and you will come up with a reasoned decision, and you're there to help them. You're there to support them.
I think about where we are in state government now, because we have had these dramatic cuts. We don't have the resources we used to have. And in many ways, we have to have a willingness to let the status quo go, which also is a fantastic opportunity to be creative and more entrepreneurial in how we problem solve. And I think that what we're looking at also in the 21st century, I think about the issues facing agriculture and the need to rapidly double food production just to feed 9 billion people on this earth. Those are not problems that can be solved in the traditional ways. And I think many of the issues we face have become so complex that the word collaboration truly is the way that we will be able to do it, which goes beyond, I think, team building, to have that inclusiveness of all the perspectives, to know what each person's area of expertise is, the ability to communicate, the willingness to roll up our sleeves and have messy, tedious, process-driven discussions that will lead us to getting to richer, longer-lasting solutions. So it's this collaboration which really isn't taught, but I think it's the only way that we will be able to leverage the resources that we do have to work better and better across cabinet, across programs, across disciplines, to really solve the problems of the 21st century, and people who are willing to engage in that kind of a process with respect to the different viewpoints, with the willingness to listen and truly hear.
There's always a guiding force that is present in any event, and I think that we were really excited to see the composite of leaders that came forward.
I want you to take away the 10, 20, 30 formula. I want you to practice it. I want you to think about it when you go to work tomorrow. And I want you to give it a try. If you don't already do this, give it a try. Think about listening for 20 minutes. And I mean, again, listening, not conversing, listening. Think about reading for 30 minutes. Think about asking questions, 10 questions or thereabouts when people come into your office. I guarantee you'll be a better leader if you do that on a consistent basis.
We are the product of the people that we meet, the people that impact our lives, the things that we learn and the experiences that we have. And so whether they be good or bad, I think that what we take away from them and how we deal with those things is what ultimately makes us who we are today. So trade that experience that I had for anything. But what I always did was I stretched myself in the opportunities I had and then looked for the next opportunity to come along.
Remember in life that people rally behind people with good attitudes, with positive attitudes, with together attitudes, collaborative attitudes, winning attitudes. That's why the A stands for attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's all about the way you take on life and the way you understand things. People don't want to be around people who are negative all the time. It's always somebody else's fault. I just had this, or just had that, or why did that putt go in? Why? He said, people just don't want to be around it. They want to be around inspirational people, good attitudes, positive attitudes, winning attitudes, we're together attitudes. He says it'll be inspiring. It'll be where people will come to you. They'll want to be around you. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's all mad all the time, blaming the world about everything. Nobody wants to. They follow you because they believe in you. They believe in you because you instill confidence, a winning attitude, and together we can do great things attitude. That's why people work for you. That's why the A becomes so important that it should always be your guideline, no matter what happens. Remember I told him the stage is open, the microphone's on? Positive attitude. The best that you possibly can so people stay true and inspired to you. The B stood for balance. You know, balance in your perspective. Balance in your life. All work, no play, that doesn't work. All play, no work, that doesn't work. You gotta balance the two. You gotta balance your perspective. It's not always hot, not always cold. How do you figure out where it is? Are you absolutely right and he's absolutely wrong? Can we agree to disagree, maybe find the middle ground, find that balanced ground so we can kind of coexist and figure out together what we're going to do? I mean, the balance part is the part that you can't become so anal and so focused and concentrated on one thing that you're out of whack with everything to balance in your life. You have to be able to do both, or three things, or four things, whatever. It cannot be all of one and nothing of the other. And you have to keep that harmony, you have to be able to keep that perspective. The C was about choices. I mean, I don't think it was, my dad made this up, I don't know where he heard it from, but he told me, he says that all of us are given two lives. Two lives. One that you learn with, and one that you live with. He says it's all based upon choices. Choices that you make. Some are real easy. They're really easy choices to make. What to eat, what to wear tie, not to wear tie. Those are easy choices. There are some very difficult choices that have to be made that you have to really weigh into to decide what you want to do and not do. And those choices are really important, both in your personal life and in your professional life. The decisions that you make are extremely critical to the success of your organization and you in your personal life. And he says that understand that when you're making those type of choices, that you truly weigh the pros and cons about what you want to do. Back to where we went for that decision. What am I about to do? Is this good or is this destructive? Do I really need to do this at this time? Do I need to buy this boat at this time? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And what do I really want to do? And what are the choices that I have in front of me? And then make sure that you understand when you make those, you have to live by it. And so that has been my guiding principle since I was just a young boy. I teach it to all my cadets, I teach it to all my managers, I teach it to the organization. Attitude, balance, and choice. Good attitude, good balance in your life, make good choices, and most of the time it will lead to success.
So here are my last words. Discover your backstory to leadership, because who you are really will influence how you lead. How you grew up, your backstory, your early leadership role models. For me, It was my parents, my brothers. It was me being born here in America, yet having a Chinese culture. Achieve your leadership balance through the understanding of yin and yang. For me, understanding that the context that there is balance, there's opposing forces, there's dualities, there's contradictions in leadership, has helped me understand leadership more and to be more successful. That there's an interconnectedness into every contradiction. So it's the leadership and the management skills, that you need leadership at the top, but they also have to have management skills. And then you need leaders all throughout your organization, but they have to have those hard skills to move your organization forward. And then finally, that leadership cannot really be taught. So it's not going to all the trainings and reading all the books. It can't just be that. It can't be from outside in. It also has to be inside out. It can only be learned, like walking.